Hey everyone, welcome to Write On, the podcast from Final Draft. We are here to talk all things screenwriting. I'm your host, Phil Galasso. Today we have the man behind such films as Miss 45, King of New York, Bad Lieutenant, the legendary Abel Ferrara, here to talk about his new film, Zeros and Ones, starring Ethan Hawke.
It takes more than guns to kill a man. You think I'm your enemy? I am your enemy. But your enemy won't be gone when you kill me.
Your brother is still in prison.
Your twin brother was an anarchist.
My brother was a revolutionary. Somebody was up to something, and I wanted to be a part of it. He's alive.
Ask help from no one.
Where is he? Cameraman is my brother. He won't last 10 minutes on the street knowing what he knows. This is a battleground.
Abel and I discussed his unique approach to screenwriting, his previous work with writer Nicholas St. John, how the pandemic is weaved into the themes of this new film, and more. Check it out. So Abel, thank you for taking the time to chat today about Zeros and Ones, your new flick. This is a screenwriting podcast. I feel like the first question I need to ask is, there's a point in the film where Ethan mentions the script, and he uses the term script loosely. For this film, what is the script like for you? What was it more of a kind of a free flowing document? What was the script like that you delivered to Ethan to get things started on this?
But I mean, the script for me, I'm a director. So when I'm going to just do a solo deal where I'm going to write and I'm going to direct, and I know that, it's on me, man. You know what I mean? I got now. There's no excuses. I got to write now. I can't hide behind a writer, and I can't become the director, browbeating a writer, or getting into that. It's you're on your own. You got to do it. You got to write. And I don't care. Yeah, Final Draft. That page it starts off as white as snow, bro. You ain't got shit. You gotta start typing. It's like kind of haiku poetry or something. You got a 90-minute. We're accepting the 90-minute form. The form is very, very specific. It's 90 minutes. We are quote unquote telling a story in that framework.
Sure.
Okay, this was 85 minutes, but you know what I'm saying. There's an ebb and flow of the scenes. Before you forget the dialogue, forget anything like that. You got the ebb and flow of what happens and what happens next and where you're going to get to. I don't know where I'm going when I start. For me, Zeros and Ones is as traditional and, as genre as you can get. A train pulls in a station. I mean, that's like as blues as you're going to get. You know what I mean? And now we start. And I had a bunch of images in my mind. I was really thinking about a espionage film. I was thinking about, counter-espionage. Harlot's Ghost, Mailer's book was like very, just in my, I was thinking about just doing that, Okay, I don't know if you know it. It's like kind of real inside take on CIA, but it's also the understanding of truth and the beginning of that. And Solzhenitsyn's book, that kind of was an influence on Siberia, but now it became the influences. He's like kind of an inside take on the KGB and news. And now I'm living it. We're living through the pandemic. So it's news, it's fake news, it's Photoshop, it's images, it's what's the truth, what are you seeing? You live in, Anyway, but for a couple of years I had these images of, I'm thinking of Rossellini's, Germany in the year zero, like World War II movies. Those kind of, then I'm working in memory because we were doing a documentary where during the pandemic, lucky enough, we were working, we were editing a documentary on my last film when it opened in Berlin, Siberia, when it was in competition in Berlin, and it was like kind of was a celebratory film. Only we had this big celebration 1 week before we were totally in lockdown. We came back from Berlin. It was a miracle. We didn't kill everybody in there because we had all this footage, no masks, people breathing on each other. Everybody, everything you're not supposed to do, we're doing. you know, and it was a celebratory moment. But then we started taking a documentary into the pandemic. So it became you know, and then we started editing our movies to it, clips from my own movies, right? So then I'm starting to really think about, you know, the movies that made me make movies and but I was going into the touch of evil and,
Sure.
you know, like the Melville, World War II, and okay, you know what I'm talking about? World War II and the partisans, and you know the guys with the suits on and guns, and the soldiers are there, and you know, and naturally, and then I grew, and I grew up you know, I grew up with all, you know, I mean, simple things like Combat, the TV show, you know, poor Vic Morrow, but Garfield, the laconic American soldier, you know, and I was thinking about that. And then the pandemic came down, you know, and it was like I was living it. You know, I'm walking from my house to the editing room, and there nobody, man. It was nobody but me, bro. You know, and you felt it, and you felt something there. And
it feels like that bled into the film because, you know, the zeros and ones, obviously, you know, binary sort of thing. And the film, you know, at once feels really apocalyptic in a certain sense. But then there's also, especially towards the end, these moments of great beauty. And you're sort of contrasting these two things, but you know, both are true. Like things can be apocalyptic, but there's also beauty everywhere you look. That's what I took from it anyway. Is that some of the intention that you had behind it?
Yeah, well, I mean, you're shooting in Rome, you know, you're shooting Piazza Vittoria, you know, I mean, it's a beautiful city. That's the location of Bicycle Thieves. You know, we shot Tommaso there, but now we're taking it from a different point of view. You know, we're taking it at night, and it's all at night, and it's all dangerous, and it's all looking at it from another point of view. And it's like, you know, I'm reading, you know, it's movies, but the reading is you know, I'm reading about, I don't know how I got fascinated with St. Petersburg during the, you know, when the German army had it surrounded, and it was the siege, and they knew something was coming, you know, they didn't know when, you dig, but they knew it was happening. That kind of feeling. But you only have 90 minutes. So, you know what I mean? You're not king. So I'm trying to tell the story of, you know, and I started seeing this cat with a camera and a gun. I don't know why. You know, I have no understanding why, you know. I'm just seeing dude, you know, but, you know, he's an American soldier, and part of his gig is recording shit, you know, so.
There's a line in there where one of the other soldiers tells him he's about to go into a location, and he says, "Shoot it so they'll believe it." And that to me felt like the line of the movie, and kind of almost sums up your approach to filmmaking in a lot of ways. Can you talk about what that means to you?
Yeah, I mean, how do you shoot something so they believe it? Especially now in a Photoshop world, in a manipulation world, where you could put somebody else's face on somebody. How could you look at any image and what are you going to take from it? You're going to take its metaphor, its beauty, what are you going to take at face value? You know, what can you take at face value? What do you believe? You know, we all have a belief system, and we all have to try to make sense of the world, you know, but what can you really believe? What's in front of you, what you see, you know, the delusion of it, you know. I'm a Buddhist, so, you know, that's the whole practice, is to seeing things clearly, but it's not so easy, you know, but then the camera is always seeing it clearly because it's seeing it without judgment. That's why when you look at something, you say, man, that's terrible, but that's the way it is. You know, you're seeing what it is, you know. That's why you're sometimes so shocked by something you shoot one way or another, because you're not seeing it clearly. And that's the, you know, the development of the craft of you know, of your thing. Of like, what are you looking at, you know? And so back to the script is like, what are these scenes about? And how do they connect to each other? And where is this whole thing going? You know, I'm not a writer, you dig, but I'll write. So, you know, I can't use the excuse that I'm not a writer because I'm writing. You dig what I mean? I grew up with a great writer I met when I was 14, and he did all the writing, and it was easy.
Talking about Nick St. John?
Yeah, Nick St. John. Yeah, right. So, you know, FedEx package arrives and Miss 45 is inside it. That's easy. You dig? The addiction is inside it. The funeral is inside it. You know, there's no conversations. We didn't do it jointly. He wrote it, and I'm reading it like what somebody would be watching. And I'm saying, fuck, how the fuck does he do it? And this is my friend since I was 14, we bros from high school. So, but then he stopped doing it. He didn't want to do it no more. It was like, gets bored of him, or it just wasn't, the path he wanted to follow. So, it's next man up anyway. So I worked with other good writers, and now, in certain instances, Bad Lieutenant I wrote with Zoe. Okay. So, but here I'm writing it and I don't know where the film is going, I'm writing it and I'm feeling it organically from scene to scene. I don't have anything structured. I don't have any outline. I'm not, I'm letting it surprise me. I'm trying to take it where if I was watching, not sit and watch it. I'm writing it fast because I know if I don't write it fast, I'm not going to write it. I'm not going to get, I'm not going to keep this feeling I have. I'm there with him. I'm there with JJ and his brother and whatever the fuck. As crazy as the shit is, it's all making sense to me, The
more recent stuff you've made, this film, Siberia, Tommaso, even going back to something like 444, it does feel like almost stream of consciousness in a way, like you're kind of pouring your soul out and we're just getting a peek at it, and you're kind of left to make of it what you will. You're not, spoon feeding the audience easy answers in a way. There's not the conventional narrative that some of your, the other more traditional stuff had. And I'm just curious, does that feel more personal to you, or is that just, basically now that you're the one who's writing it, that's just the way you do it?
Yeah, I guess so. This is where we've, I've arrived at through the stuff, and it's one film leads to another. And lately we've been doing the documentaries, and then the features, and then most of these features are documentaries anyway, because they're about real shit, Pasolini, Welcome to New York. Tommaso too. There might be.
I'd love to hear about Welcome to New York, because that's a really incredible movie that I don't think a lot of people got a chance to see, especially here in the States.
They didn't see it in the States because the right version is not playing in the States. And now there's no version.
Yeah, I had to import the Blu-ray.
Yeah, right.
Talk about that movie, because that's one that's inspired by real life events, but you're fictionalizing it. What's your approach? I guess it applies to something like Zeros and Ones as well. Like you said, these are all documentaries in a way. How do you in your head synthesize the real world and, the fictional world you're creating?
Welcome to New York, I wrote with Chris Zoyce, who, he did New Rose Hotel. He's kind of been, he either writes or kind of godfathers all the work, and we have a close relationship. So even if his name isn't on it, has a lot of input. I'm a research junkie, I'm really a research junkie. So I really went for that. And I was in New York when it happened, and I started really getting into it. The financing came from France. So I had all the connections there to talk to whoever I needed to. In New York, we knew the cops that worked on it. And I really got into it big time, and I had it all laid out. The writer was not taking it. Chris didn't really care all that much about the fucking events, Gerard didn't give a fuck about Dominique Strauss-Kahn. So if we were having meetings where we'd be discussing, I have all this fucking information, and these guys are talking about Richard III. You know what I'm saying? So, okay, fine, But somewhere in between, that's why we put that at the beginning. Gerard saying basically that. I'll give, if you came here to see a story about Dominique Strauss-Kahn, you're not seeing it because I don't give a shit about the guy. I care less about the guy. He knows the guy. He's not playing the guy because he has no respect for the guy.
Yeah.
You dig?
Yeah, yeah.
But I have researched that story, and I know things other people don't know, to a point. But again, shoot it like make them believe it. Okay, I still would, I learned that from documentary. Just because somebody's talking to you doesn't mean it's the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you think they're telling the truth, you move the camera one way or the other way, and the truth can be shaped a whole different way. Never mind before you even get to the editing room, So we went about it on like Pasolini. We went on a very, we shot a lot of the same places. The house was the same. Mm-hmm. We used all the dialogue from the police. It was all, it was all either in emails. Yeah. It was all in the transcripts. What wasn't in transcript is what the wife and the husband talked about behind closed doors. Mm-hmm. And that was all Zoyce, and that's what they, I'm sure, weren't happy with.
Yeah.
Because the other stuff I could verify. They couldn't tell me that wasn't said. Some of the lines I put in were not really great lines. You wouldn't use them if you were writing. They'd seem,
But they're real life.
but that's what the lawyers. Yeah, that's what the lawyers said in court, man. You know, they would talk about Roman Polanski in court. Yeah.
No, so you mentioned New Rose Hotel, which is a film I really love. And I'm curious, do you, consider your work, each film in relation to others? Because there are parts of Zeros and Ones that felt to me resonated with New Rose Hotel. Some of this stuff, just the sort of murky operatives going about.
That's all Gibson. I'm a big fan of Gibson, and I read all his stuff, especially his new stuff that's all not sci-fi, but then his sci-fi stuff is actually more. Anyway, whatever. The dude's a great writer. Okay, hands down. Yeah, I mean, no matter how you look at it, dude he's a beautiful writer. New Rose Hotel was like an 8-page short story. Hollywood jumped on it, I guess, because it was like, cyberpunk was the rage and he's getting paid. Everybody's making them. They make Neuromancer and they all want to make anything like that. This other sci-fi shit was happening and, this is like Schwarzenegger time. You know what I mean? I forget when this was, in the 90s, I guess. But it started a little bit before because I always get these crazy. And the other guy, what's the other great? The guy who wrote Blade Runner, the story, the writer, Philip Dick, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. All that kind of tradition. I'm not a sci-fi guy, but, sometimes I become a little bit more to it. The trash in the story, I kept reading these crazy scripts and then I'm thinking, what the fuck is this? Then I read the short story. It's a masterpiece, and I say to these guys, okay, when Schwarzenegger was always going to play the walking role, and they were going to turn into some action.
That is wild to imagine.
Yeah, but he was going to be, I forget it. It was like, I would read these scripts. I'd be exhausted just from the running. Every piece of action is described. And then you get the short story and the guy's a cripple, basically. Mm-hmm. So what's all this Arnold Schwarzenegger running all over the place? The guy can't walk.
Yeah.
But they just, took the fucking title and tossed the fucking thing, but, my point was, I want to shoot this. When you guys get it together, Ed Pressman was the producer. I says, when you get it together to shoot this short story, come back to me. Otherwise, leave me alone. And then they did. And it took a while. It took a couple of years, 2 or 3 years. And then they couldn't get it off. And I said, okay, but we're doing this 8-page thing. Zois again came in. Yeah, he did some, this and that and the other thing. But in my mind, it's like 8 pages of poetry, and an 8-page short story to me is the perfect thing. A novel is impossible. For a 90-minute film, there's your template.
Yeah.
But you got to try to get it. You got to get that feeling. But you got to be dedicated to the work, his work, Gibson I'm talking about, and then really understand it. And then you got to, use your, okay, there's always thing about us shooting it. You got to use your, we got to use our skills, and it put our skills to the test. And then we learned a lot, and what I learned a lot was you could look at New Rose Hotel a lot of different ways. Like what he's talking about at the end, you could look at this film 2 ways. You can look at New Rose Hotel from all different perspectives. It's funny because I was just with Ozzy about an hour ago. Okay. Oh. She lives in Rome. Yeah, she's doing great and as beautiful as ever. Okay. And whether you see her as like a dumb hooker being manipulated or as a brilliant counter spy, one step ahead of the world, either point of view is not, you could read that short story and it is absolutely satisfying. And nothing in that short story is going to not let you see it the way you want to see it. Am I making sense now? Because that's...
Yeah, no, and I think that actually ties back to Zeros and Ones, where you can look one way and see it one way. You can turn yourself another way and see it that way. And both things can be true.
Right. Okay, now that's from the time New Rose Hotel, that's been the mantra. It's not, it's not easy. And, Gibson's a gifted dude. It's, you can love something and, not always pull it off, but that's what we're going for. So that's how we're writing. And, I once got the gig to remake, Jimbo. I had an idea. They were New Line, I think, was doing this, and they ended up doing it. But they got a whole bunch of different guys. They have your Jimbo on the Alaskan pipeline, and your Jimbo on Mars, but they had bought the rights, and I had done my version. But I had done it by watching that movie, which, we love. And it's Marty's, Scorsese's one of his favorites.
Right.
It's an awesome movie, no matter how, where you come from. Okay. Kurosawa. I really broke this down. I wrote this frame by frame, line for line, the way I would write that movie. And like one of the greatest movies you ever seen is a 28-page script. Trust me, that's a 28-page script. Okay. And everything is in it. Every description, every line of dialogue, everything. It's 28 pages, bro. Okay. So, you tell me when, somebody hands you like one of these things, what you're really reading,
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time. One thing I want to say.
No, bro, thanks.
Before we wrap up, everybody's been dealing with the pandemic in a lot of ways. For me, it's been deep diving into filmmakers, and you've been one of the filmmakers who I really filled in the blanks. And oddly, Go-Go Tales has become a comfort movie for me. And Bed Bath & Beyond Bed Bath & Beyond motherfuckers is like the thing we yell around the house. I just want to thank you for that, for the little
All right, thank you. All right, thank you, bro.
All right, take care. Good luck with the film.
Keep the rock on. Ciao.
Huge thanks to Abel Ferrara for coming on the show. Zeros and Ones will be available on VOD on November 19th. And as always, thanks to you, our listeners. If you liked this episode, leave us a review, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the show on Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcasts. For news about new episodes and more, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter at Final Draft Inc., and on Instagram at Final Draft Screenwriting. This podcast was produced by Kayla Guess and co-produced by Emma Vranich. Editing is by Sean Bonnet. Music is by T. Kelly. Thanks again, everyone. Until next time, right on.